Moose Jaws is one of the places that Audi Lou Nordby visits for her work. She's been a registered piano technician since 2013. Audi Lou is from Meadow Lake, but bases her work tuning pianos out of Saskatchewan. To tell us more, she joins us now. Good morning, Audi Lou.
Hello, how are you?
Audi Lou, I saw you nodding your head through Doug's interview there. First things first, our Ted Deller said that he put a cup of water in his family's piano, or his family did, as a way to deal with the humidity. Can you debunk or tell us if that is something that works as far as pianos go? Was Ted's family onto something?
Yes. So humidification, consistency is really important. Putting a bucket of water or a jar of water in the bottom of a piano is kind of an old school way of putting more humidity into the air. The piano will expand and contract with the humidity, and that movement is what is a huge factor in making it go out of tune. So we have more reliable ways of doing that these days. There's a system that you can install in your piano. But I think the most important thing that people should know is that, like he said, if you have a jar in the bottom of your piano, it needs to be filled with water all the time. Consistency is key, because if you let it dry up, then what you're doing is you're actually expanding the range of humidity that it goes through, and that's worse than it would be if you didn't use a jar of water at all.
So that's why you're the piano tuning expert. That's why you're traveling around Saskatchewan fixing people's pianos. So
Yes.
what got you into this?
I when I was in high school, I was teaching flute lessons to younger musicians, and I had a student forget her flute at home. And I decided for the lesson that she would use my flute. And during that lesson, it was just really eye-opening, because she all of a sudden was finding it a lot simpler, a lot easier to create the sounds that I was trying to teach her to create. Um, and the reason for that was that my instrument was a semi-professional flute that I had worked on regularly. The instrument was maintained regularly by a tech. Um, Her instrument was a student model that probably hadn't been looked at in a while. And it was just eye-opening to see how the instrument can either work for you or against you when you're trying to create music.
When you want to get into this, and you said the flute was kind of the light bulb moment, what sort of training do you have to go through to become a piano tech?
So I went to in 2013. I graduated from Western University in Ontario. I had a certification of piano technology. It wasn't until 2000 and it might have been 2000. I'm not good with years. It might have been 2017 when I actually became a registered piano technician. Um, so I took the 9 month course at Western University. I have worked for about 7 years with the Premier Piano Store in Calgary. I had the opportunity to work on concert level tuning and work there, so that was a lot of where my training actually came from. Um, yeah, to become a registered piano technician, I had to learn how to tune a piano by ear without the devices that we use these days. Um, so yeah, I think just a ton of experience and a ton of patience.
How does someone know? And Doug said that there were a few clues that he had and his family had that they needed a tune up. How does someone know when their piano needs a tune up?
I think the easiest way to say that is that if you haven't tuned it in 6 months, it's going to be out of tune. um, the I suggest that people who have kids or people who are learning to play the piano should have their tuned every 6 months, and part of this is because of education. So when a musician, the piano is one of the only instruments that I can think of that the player is not responsible for tuning. So that means that piano players are playing pianos that are out of tune all the time. And it's often the case where the musician doesn't actually learn what it sounds like to be in tune. So I think that over time, if you have your piano tuned regularly, you'll start to hear the differences between in tune and out of tune.
When it comes to having the ear for it, you obviously do, and you mentioned all the training and experience you have. How long does it take you, sitting down with someone's piano and going, okay, I can diagnose this problem?
I mean, it always depends on the problem. It takes me about between an hour and a half to tune a piano. Um, yeah, a lot of the pianos that I'm running into haven't been tuned in quite a while. In that case, they often need to be tuned 2 to 3 times in order to stay in tune once I leave it. So, yeah.
What's it like for you? I mentioned traveling, and I know that Doug mentioned might not be glamorous in -40, and you were you were smiling at that comment. What does it mean to you to be able to go around the province and help people with this cherished instrument that they have? And we mentioned that this is the center of the household for many people. It may be something that holds a lot of sentimental value. It may be something that the next generation is learning. What does that mean to you to be able to go from city to city, from community to community?
I think the part that I like the most is just feeling the gratitude that people have. Um, Educating people on their piano, bringing it back to life after, like it might be 20 years or so since a person has put attention into the piano that's been in their family for generations. So I mean, you run into the odd client who's just really, really excited and really grateful to have me out there. And that, I mean, I think any job or any career, it's important to feel like appreciated. And I definitely get that from rural Saskatchewan.
And I think that came through in Doug's interview, where he called you our Audi Lou.
Yeah.
Do you, I was wondering as well if there's a memory that sticks out to you where you got your hands on something that was, a piano you'd never seen before, or something from that was just so unique that sticks out.
I tuned for a lady. It was an elderly lady. I think she was in her 80s, and she had arthritis. And she was struggling a bit because like her fingers would hurt when she's playing. And I tuned her piano, and when she played after I tuned it, she was quite emotional. She was saying that it hurt less to play, which didn't really make sense to me because what I do to the piano or what I did to her piano did not involve changing the way it feels. It's not something that would make it easier to play. But after thinking about it for a while, that experience helped me kind of pinpoint the idea that when you're playing an out of tune piano, it's kind of like the instrument is playing against you instead of with you. So, like, music is energy. If you're playing an instrument that doesn't sound sweet, that doesn't sound in tune, then it can sometimes be physically exhausting. And I experienced this playing the flute as well. Like, my body can physically ache because it just feels so hard to work with the music. Whereas if the instrument is working for you, if it's in good condition, it's been regulated and it's been tuned and it's sounding sweet, then all of that tension can just be released from your body and it just sounds beautiful and it's working with you. So I to be able to pinpoint that and to be able to see her experience it. And I mean, she's having pain in her fingers when she's playing, and somehow tuning the piano alleviated some of that pain. So that was just, I think I really enjoyed being a part of that moment.
Audi Lou, thanks so much for joining us, sharing your story, and sharing a couple of tips there as well along the way. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.